In 2015, developed by From Software and published by Sony Computer Entertainment originally for the Sony PlayStation 4, was that of Bloodborne. The game was critically praised by both critics and gamers for the unique aspects of the premise with the game, as well as the setting of Yoham, being inspired by British and American authors Bram Stoker and H.P. Lovecraft. Due to the highly complex and in-depth lore of the game was known for being notoriously difficult, and a good amount of the player base never proceeded through the game enough to even learn about the various details of the story or lore associated with it. Within the Old Hunters, the premise of it were that the Hunter's Nightmare was the place where all hunters whom had gone mad during the hunt and were in the nightmare to essentially die. Because the premise of Bloodborne had hunters whom were loyal and those who went mad due to the power that they had obtained through the hunt on what they had to do to simply survive. Through the course of the Hunter's Nightmare, Simon the Harrowed, a non-player character, mentions that the nightmare was a physically tangible result of all the misdeeds and unfavorable actions that they've done collectively as hunters. That all hunters would theoretically go mad given enough time, and it's the ultimate and unavoidable fate of any hunter, regardless of their own personal beliefs of being a hunter, and the fact that the hunter's nightmare and the ultimate cause of that nightmare is unknown, and to discover the cause of it to be important enough to know, and once to know the cause of the hunter's nightmare, they could theoretically escape it. Laurence, the first vicar of the Healing Church, was an optional boss in the old Hunter's downloadable content, and according to popular opinions by those who had experienced the content, was considered to be the most difficult boss to fight against in all of Bloodborne. What was interesting was that according to discussions and speculations, the dynamics of Laurence were intentionally difficult, even for a From Software game. On Bloodborne boss standards, Laurence was in the church's hall soon after the player enters the hunter's dream, while speculation had it that the location was intentionally located where it was for an easy traverse through the dream to other locations that can be traveled to in the dream by lanterns. But players would often misjudge Laurence's strength and undoubtedly get killed during the fight, so as a result, most players would intentionally avoid the optional area, as well as the fight against Laurence, and progress around the area, avoiding it instead as they progress to the next lantern on their way through the hunter's dream, which often meant a more arduous journey to the next available lantern, making it more difficult for the player. Criticism of Laurence was that the design of the optional boss had it to be, in terms of appearance, a recycled depiction of a previous boss, but with minor differences with the exceptions of more health points for the boss, stronger attacks, and multiple phases of battle. Even the most prepared hunters had an extraordinarily difficult time with the fight against Laurence, and the fight for many casual players was left uncompleted, as well as even seasoned players giving up in failure. Aside from the Chalice dungeons, and according to official Sony records, Laurence was the boss that players defeated the least, and the accomplishment of killing Laurence was considered to be the pinnacle aspect of the game Bloodborne. Sometimes a character could be forgotten because an optional boss as well as the lore surrounding the boss were so expansive and challenging that due to the difficulties relating to it, few were able to fully understand it nor even defeat it.